evening, everyone, again. Again, as normal, we'll start with watching the breath mindfully to settle and quiet our mind and to bring our mind in moment present. Then we can try to generate good intention for being here. For example, there is nothing more meaningful in our life than to be able to practice the Dharma and to be benefit and help to others. Whether it's directly or indirectly. And in order to be more help and benefit to others as well as oneself, we need to learn to keep our mind calm, peaceful, regardless of whatever condition and situations. And if we really train our mind, one can keep your mind calm and peaceful, even in the most difficult situations, circumstances. It is absolutely possible. And when our minds come peaceful, we are also able to help benefit others. Also, when our mind is calm and peaceful, it gives the space to develop more positive thoughts, love, compassion, patience. The wish to be help and benefit to others. And when we're able to develop those wishes, then we will try to help as much as we can whenever possible. And to be able to reach a point, then we need to practice, meditate. And for that, we need to learn, study, as well as to be reminded of those practices all the time. And with that hope, that's why we have here, gather here. And may our act of coming here together to listen, to engage in discussion, reflection, contemplations, and whatever activities we engage in today, this week, this month, this year, all our life, until we achieve enlightenment, may all of them become cause and conditions to cultivate and fully develop all the positive minds, such as to love, compassion, bodhichitta mind, wisdom, patience, and so forth. May all of this become cause and conditions to achieve our highest potential, fully awakened state. And not only listen those teachings, but may we be able to apply, integrate in our everyday life as much as possible. Okay.
Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha, the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, in all aspects. With supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of false, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. I prostrate to the Arya triple gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Bhagawan was dwelling on massive Vulture's Mountain and Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there's no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element and so on, up to including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there's no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There's no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas and bodhisattvas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as true, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Taya ta om gate gate pada gate pada samgate bodhi soha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagawan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagawan, having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagawan. Sajipu ki jushin meto I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I crave through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodan saki chonam ha janchu bardu dagi yapsu chi dagi chonen gepe sonam gi Jola Penchir Sange Druparshu Sange Chodan Soki Chonam Chanshu Bardu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Chunyen Gipe Sonam Jola Penchir Sange Druparshu.
간제 교전에 손에 어떤 방면에서 담배 전에 되게 어담될 아차차. So last week we ended all the verses where Nagarjuna describes, those who are on the path, whether it's bodhisattvas or those who are on the path to the arhat, individual liberations. When it comes to the practice of, moral discipline, meditative concentrations, wisdom, there's not much difference. But the difference is when it comes to the method, whereas those who are on the path to the arhat, they don't emphasize so much on the method of cultivating true great loving kindness, compassion, and bodhichitta mind, and engage in the practice of the six perfections, bodhisattva practice. Whereas the bodhisattvas who are on the path, they pay equal importance, if not more important, to the method, not only the wisdom side, but also method side, especially trying to cultivate and improve highest level of, greatest love, compassion, and bodhichitta mind on the basis of those altruistic intention mind. Then, engage in the practice, such as practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, and so forth, six perfection, to help and benefit others as much as possible on the path. And as a result, when you achieve the result, then there are two different results, huge different results. The arhat, when they achieve the result, the enlightenment, the body, or nirvana, even though they are free from all the suffering, even though they are free from all the delusions, but still, they are not perfected. Even the purpose of their self, and of course, they have not perfected the purpose of others. Even in terms of developing themselves, they have not been able to overcome or eliminate all the obscuration. They still have some obscurations. In terms of having actualized all the positive quality, they haven't been able to cultivate all the positive qualities, even though they have developed a lot of inner positive qualities of spiritual realizations. So they have, and then in terms of the ability, the skillful means to benefit the other sentient beings, they have not developed all this power, skillful means. Whereas the bodhisattvas, when they achieve their spiritual final goal, when they achieve the fully enlightened or the great enlightenment, then, they achieve a state where they have accomplished the highest purpose of oneself and others. They have not only free from all the delusion, but all the obscuration, including subtle obscuration. There's no more obscuration anymore. In terms of cultivating the positive qualities, they have cultivated all the positive qualities, spiritual realization. There's no more to abandon anything, and there's no more to accomplish anything. because they have abandoned everything that need to be abandoned, and they have accomplished everything that need to be accomplished. That is not the case for the arhat. And because of that, not only they have perfected their own purpose, but they have also perfected the well-being or purpose of other sentient beings. Because of that, they are able to understand, realize each and every sentient being's mental state or predispositions, their needs, their mental state, karmic states, and to be able to help and benefit according to that, spontaneously, without kind of limitations, with the most skillful means. And so that being the case, so then here, Nagarjuna encourage us, encourage us, advise, instructs, encourage us to follow the Bodhisattva path, follow the Bodhisattva path, by following that Bodhisattva path, when you achieve your spiritual ultimate goal, not only you are able to achieve, the best of yourself or the ultimate happiness for yourself, but also you are able to do most and limitless and effortlessly for the benefit of other sentient beings. And not only when you achieve enlightenment, even while you are on the path, even while you are progressing on the path, as we progress more and more on the both of the path, you will be able to do more benefit and more help to yourself and others. You will be able to help to achieve happiness for yourself and others more and more. You'll be able to protect yourself and others from more and more sufferings. And so that is, and that being the case, so that is where he explained that if we analyze with all the different reasoning, logic, deep, profound analysis, and if we observe our own mind, then we will come to some understanding of that. How if we observe our own mind, when we are too much selfish, self-centered, egoistic, how much more we suffer, how we get easily hurt by feeling someone is disrespectful, unkind, unloving, uncaring, rude, all, due to someone's certain behavior or certain attitude, we easily feel very much hurt because of that, our egoistic mind, self-centeredness. And because of that, we suffer more. And when we feel hurt and suffer, then we tend to respond more negative and aggressive to the others. Through that, then not only we suffer, then we also create more suffering to others. Because we feel suffering, and that activate our mind to be disturbed and negative, and through that negative minds, then we tend to say things, we tend to act in certain way, we tend to have more negative thoughts, and through that, then we tend to also create more pain and suffering to us. So it is, we just have to observe. We just have to observe honestly, deeply, our mind. On the other hand, if you observe when we have a strong cherishing thought for others, such as love, true love. We are not talking about attachment, but true love, compassion, Bodhichitta mind, and cherishing thought for others. When we have totally sense of really caring, concern, loving, feeling kindness, compassion, all of that. Even someone is not so nice to us, it doesn't disturb us so much. Even someone is not so respectful, even someone is not so kind, caring, even someone is not, trying to be so nice and good, instead maybe even a little bit rude and mean, still, we are able to keep our mind more calm, peaceful, and less unagitated, By being able to do that, we don't feel so much hurt. Through that, we don't feel so much pain, suffering. We don't have to experience that emotional, mental pain because of that. And when you feel less hurt and less painful, instead, sense of love, compassion, cherishing the other persons, the other beings, not only we don't hurt, harm, and create more suffering, we will try to still be nice, kind, and we'll still try to help and benefit and, help them to have more, contribute towards their happiness instead of contributing towards their sufferings. And again, these are nothing very complicating philosophy or anything. It is just our experience, our everyday experience. If we make effort to deeply look inside, honestly, deeply, then we can understand what the Buddha said, Nagarjuna and all those masters says is true. It's true because that is our experience. It's true. We can confirm with our own experience. So, yeah. So did we finish verse number 84 or 83? I think we finished. Yeah, I thought that was. So yeah, that is where I just kind of summarized that 84. So he's encouraging with that understanding, through that kind of examination, self-investigations, then we should try not to be selfish and self-centered. Instead, we should try to cultivate, the cherishing thought for others. That is that, the mind that cares about others' well-beings. Yeah. So next is verse number 84. I kind of rooted firmly because of compassion and arising from the shoot of awakening. So the awakening of Bodhichitta mind is like the shoot or the sprout, and compassion, the seed, that give rise to that, the shoot of the Bodhichitta mind. The true awakening, that is the soul fruit of altruism. This is the concrete children to cultivate. In these verses, I more kind of like Jimba's translation. From the plant or the seed of plant of the Bodhichitta, firmly rooted in the compassions, the one and only fruit of others' welfare grows. When you have that compassion mind, that is very strongly rooted in the compassions, then the thoughts to work for the well-beings and happiness of others grow, easily, naturally, strongly, and so that Bodhichitta mind, thus the Buddha's children, referring the Bodhisattvas, so thus the Bodhisattvas, or those who are inclined to Bodhisattva practice, should meditate on Bodhichitta, because Bodhichitta, as we mentioned, is the key to happiness of oneself and happiness of others. It's the key. It is a cause of temporary and ultimate happiness. So, as Chandeva explained, in his Guides about a way of life, he said, when you turn the milk, the essence you get is butter, Similarly, he said the Bodhichitta is after turning all the Buddha's teaching and practice, the Bodhichitta is like a milk, the very essence of all the Buddha's teachings. Very heart and very essence of all the Buddha's teaching and the practice is the Bodhichitta mind. So, as is mentioned here, the Bodhichitta mind is very much strongly rooted in compassion. The stronger your compassion, the stronger your Bodhichitta mind is. Just like the stronger seed or the root is, the better the plant will grow. So the compassion, is the stronger compassion you have, the more powerful compassion you have, the stronger and more powerful Bodhichitta you can cultivate and actualize and develop. And compassion is key to happiness, as one of the great Indian masters, again, Chandrakirti is one of Madhyamika or middle way school, great philosopher, founder of the Prasangika. You can say he's the founder of the Prasangika Madhyamika school of thought. And in his middle way, supplement or engage in the middle, entering to the middle way, he explained at the very beginning, he paid homage to the compassions. At the very beginning of his composing the text, he paid homage to the compassion. And in that homage, he said, compassion is very important at the very beginning, middle, and end. And he says the compassion is very important at the very beginning. Now I'm trying to remember the verse in Tibetan, and now I'm kind of very kind of But basically, he says compassion at the very beginning, like the seed, seed of the plant. You need the seed to grow the plant. So same way, you need the great compassion to enter the Bodhisattva path. Into the Bodhisattva path, you need the great compassion. So that is like seed. Compassion very important at the very beginning of your path, journey in your path. It's very important in the middle. And he says, he gives example, it's like the water and the light. The plant is not enough, you plant the seed, but for that plant, you have to maintain it by watering again and again, every day, weeks, months, the water, the fertilizers, the heat, the light, whatever it needs, especially the water, you need. If you don't have that water, then even if you have planted a seed, even it grow, it will die. In the middle, to maintain it, you need that. So he said, the compassion is same like that. At the very beginning, when you enter the path, but if you don't maintain the compassion, then you can lose the path. You get off track the path. And to be able to maintain your Bodhisattva path, your journey on the path, you need to continue. So it is not only needed at the very beginning, it is also needed in the middle while you are on the path to maintain it. And it is important at the end, and he gave example like at the end, it is a fruit plant, then the fruit plant grows, and then whether it is animals, birds, or whether it is human being, they enjoy the fruit, the result. And the compassion is like that. So not only it is important in the middle to maintain the path, when you achieve the result, fully awakened or fully enlightened state, it is the compassion that drive you to help and benefit other sentient beings. If you don't have that great compassion, then like arhat, you can get kind of bliss out. You can kind of, be in a, because you reach a state where there is so much bliss, no more suffering, no more obscurations. You can just kind of bliss out there. But the Buddhas, they don't. They are constantly helping, benefiting all the time, 24 hours, endlessly. And what is the factors? What is the factors? What is the energy? What is the cause for them to be so much help and benefit after having achieved the highest ultimate happiness? Is because of that compassion. Therefore, as he said, compassion is very important for a practitioner, especially for a Buddhist practitioner. Within that, for those on the Bodhisattva practitioner, or those who are on the Bodhisattva path, or who are inclined to Bodhisattva, the compassion is most important, so important. So important. So important. If you look, even among our times, there have been many great teachers in all different spiritual paths, and same in Buddhist, among Buddhist teachers, among Tibetan Buddhist teachers. There are some teachers who are very great teachers in terms of their ability to understand the mind of the audience, and to be able to present the subjects in their understanding, according to their understanding, to make it so easy to them to understand, to be able to connect easily, to be able to understand. They have written some of best-selling books and like that. But many of those are very controversial. Many of them are very controversial. And then there are some other teachers who have those skills, or some of them, they might not have same skills like them to be able to present the subjects easily the way the audience understands, in terms of using example, in terms of how you are more, maybe they are more traditional. So they might not be as famous like the other teachers. They might not have best-selling books they have written. But if you look, they have touched more people's heart. And because of the compassion, because of their true compassion, because of their true compassions for the others, therefore they never kind of, engage in the actions, that are harmful, controversial, and I think the difference is the compassion. In terms of the knowledge, wisdom, it might be different, Some of those controversial teachers, you see that in every spiritual path, in terms of their knowledge, in terms of how to present even the most difficult subject, make it so easy. That is why they are so famous and become so well known, why their books are selling, become the best selling and so forth. But still many of them, they're controversial because they have hurt and harm others, abuse others in different ways. And if someone is abusing someone, is it due to lack of compassion? If someone is true compassion, it's not possible to abuse someone. It's not possible. So, knowingly to abuse such. And so that is, what had someone, even who have such a knowledge, such a wonderful skills, still ending up that and hurting is again, so therefore compassion is the key, Even in Lamrim, when they talk about the quality of the guru, of course wisdom is part of that. And there are 10 qualities they talk about. And in some of the teachers master, they say among all these 10 qualities, the most important qualities is the compassion. If you have the true compassion to the other persons, whether it's a disciple, audience, or any another beings, you will try to help as much as you can. You will never try to intentionally hurt and try to abuse them. It's not. So that for their being, and even Abom Katamba masters, there was one master, I don't recall the name. His presentation of Dharma is very not so skillful, let's say, not so skillful. So, and but many of the students found extremely helpful, beneficial, and they say not because of his presentation, because of his compassion. They can feel the compassion. Because of that compassion, they feel that they get a lot. They're able to receive a lot. They're able to get it, even though the presentation might not be the most skillful presentations, and so. So here, yeah, that is, and as you have seen, quotation from His Holiness Dalai Lama. I think most of you have seen, and that is one of his main messages all throughout his life. And not only message, that is what he practiced. Sometimes he says he has mentioned, his religion is the compassion. His religion is the compassion. His heart is his temple. And so again, for His Holiness, the emphasize, whether he's giving any teachings, complicated philosophical teachings, whether he's giving some kind of oral transmissions, whether he's giving a tantric empowerment initiations, but he's emphasized always compassion, always compassion, always come to that. Whatever teachings he gives, but always, emphasize it's always the compassion. And even in terms of practice, he said that is what he also do, And we can see everyone who is around him, even non-spiritual practitioner, non-Buddhist, even a lot of people who are around, they can feel that energy, they can feel the compassion. So many people have shared their experiences, that touch their heart, something. And again, that compassion, the energy of that compassion, the effect of that compassion, I think that is same with Lama Zopa Rinpoche, extremely compassionate, totally dedicate his life day and night for others, In terms of compassion, there's no doubt, There's no doubt, there's no way we can disagree. If we have known him personally, over the years, what he does day and night, day to day, week to week, month to month, year to years, and for me also that is the most important factors for my close feeling with him, more than the knowledge itself. It is that his compassionate feelings, In terms of presentation of Dharma, I kind of connect more with Lama Yeshe's approach, style. But as a person, as a practitioner, I connect more with the Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And he has more inspiration, for me, because of that compassionate qualities, incredible compassion, Bodhichitta qualities, I might not feel the same way with Lama Yeshe the way I feel with Lama Zopa Rinpoche. In terms of just the knowledge itself, maybe I connect more to that. But if I have to choose those two qualities and to feel, then for me, the compassion part is more important. Of course, both of them are important if you have both, but anyway, so that is here again, here because we are talking about the Bodhichitta that is rooted in great compassions, and then talking about the importance of the compassions. And that should be the main practice of the Bodhisattva. That should be the main practice of the Bodhisattva, or those who are inclined to the Bodhisattva path. If you are inclined towards more individual liberations, arhat, then of course, your main practice becomes the wisdom. Your main practice, your emphasis is the wisdom. Your main practice is the wisdom. The three high training, moral discipline, meditation, concentration, and the wisdom. But someone who is on both the path, inclined towards both the path, then the focus and the emphasis is true loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind, and that's why you have to meditate on bodhicitta. And then here the next one is when through practice it becomes firm. So through meditating, practicing on bodhicitta mind, that is very strongly rooted in the great compassions. And when the root of the bodhicitta is very, very strongly firm, very strongly firm. When bodhicitta you have developed strong bodhicitta, powerful bodhicitta that has very strong, firm, strong rooted in compassion. Then alarmed by the other sufferings, when you see the sufferings of others, when you hear the sufferings of others, when you think of suffering of others, you started to feel the suffering of others. And people doesn't have to see the suffering themselves. When you have practice, even you don't see it, when you hear about the suffering from someone, or even you don't have to hear and see it, you try to think, contemplate of different beings, of different sufferings in different places, different world, different realms, Then you started to feel, very strong compassion, bodhicitta mind. And when you feel very strong, unbearable, strong compassion and bodhicitta mind, the bodhisattvas renounce the bliss of concentration and plunge even to the depth of the relentless hells. So when you're such compassions, because you are so concerned with the sufferings and the well-being of others, your mind is totally kind of feel that, then you are not concerned with your individual's bliss. If you as a bodhisattva, if you put effort in your meditation, concentration, through that concentration, high level of concentration, you might be able to develop incredible bliss, incredible inner peace, inner joy and blissfulness. That cannot be described in our ordinary words because, it's something not we experience. Incredible bliss, joy happen through that such high level of concentration. Even that, they will renounce it. They will not be attached to it. They will not, instead, they will be joyfully, happily go into the place where is the most intense suffering in order to liberate them, reduce their pain and suffering. Such is the bodhisattvas. And they are able to keep up their own incredible peace and blissfulness, instead to go in the places or realms where there's so much suffering, unbearable sufferings. and the willingness to experience those sufferings instead of great bliss and joyfulness. The willingness to experience, not only willingness to experience the suffering, but joyfully, delightfully. Is one thing, willingness to go through the suffering, and to willingness to go and going joyfully is one thing, isn't it? Sometimes we are willing to do certain things for, I don't know, friends, families, or someone else, but not necessarily out of joyfully, for different reasons sometimes. You feel obligated, you feel responsible, not because you enjoy in doing that, but you feel, oh, if I don't do that, then I'm not keeping my responsibility. It's my responsibility to do that. You feel different feeling. It's not really delight in doing that, But the bodhisattvas here, not only they are willing to go in that, but delightful and happily. And they are able to do because of that incredible bodhicitta mind and compassion. Such is in some sutras and some others commentaries and other, not commentary on this one, but in others, Indian masters writing and also in sutras, also it described with different examples. They say like it is like the duck or swan in the summer, they delightfully go into the water when it's very hot outside. Or elephant, when it's so hot, then they go in the water and they play with so much delight and happy, because of that. Similarly, that is how the bodhisattvas feel. Even if they go to such as a reckless hell, where suffering is most intense, that is how they feel, for us, if we are given options, one here, hell, where is the most intense suffering. Here, Pure Land, where there's no sufferings. Where do you like to go? Of course, we will choose the Pure Land. We will want to choose the Pure Land. A lot of people pray for that, to be born in a Pure Land. They practice to be born in Pure Land. But the bodhisattvas is not like that. They intentionally will like to go where there's more suffering, where there's more pain, where there's more sufferings, so they can be more help and benefit, where most is needed. I think I might have shared, His Holiness Dalai Lama shared stories that he was reading a biography of 7th Dalai Lama. And there is sections at the end, when he was coming into his life, end of his life, some of disciples or friends make a comment, for you have done so much for sentient beings, for the Dharma and everything, there is no doubt that you will be born in a Pure Land, And the 7th Dalai Lama, I have no intentions of going to Pure Land. I would rather go into Hell Land and where there is more sufferings. I would rather come in that realms where there's more sufferings. I have no intention or thought of going to the Pure Land. He made us kind of, and His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama said when he was reading that, it really touched his heart. That comment and that part really touched his heart very much. And I think His Holiness Dalai Lama always also say that, and he also tried to follow that, that the previous Kopan monastery abbot, who also happened to be one of my teachers, Lama Lundu, when he passed away, he got a cancer and he passed away with the cancer at the end, and 2 or 3 days before he passed away, and of course by that time he was very weak, physically, and even communicating is not so easy, like it's kind of almost like whispering, a little bit more than whispering he can, but not so loud. So anyway, and Lama Soba Rinpoche also happened to be there in Kopan at that time. And so Rinpoche visited him, because he cannot go upstairs to Rinpoche, and he wanted to make offerings. So Lama Soba Rinpoche, which is also his guru, and Rinpoche actually came down and, and someone has taken a video during that time, that visit. And then Lama Lundu was making the offerings, and with hand folded, he requests Lama Soba Rinpoche, and then his request was for most of people, who have, let's say, believe in Pure Land, their request was, please bless me to go in Pure Land, or bless me to have better, higher rebirth, less sufferings. His request was, in that last, couple of days before he passed away, request was, please bless me to, if it is most beneficial to be born in a hell realm, please bless me to be born in hell realm. That was his request to his teacher, his guru, last request. If it is more beneficial for me to be born in hell realms, please bless me to be able to do that. So this similar here, as he said, such is that when someone has incredible strong compassion, bodhicitta mind, they are not afraid. They're not afraid to be in a place or world or realm where there is so much suffering. Not only they are not afraid, they will delightfully, happily come in that world so they can be more benefit and more help. So such is the Bodhisattvas, incredible. For us, if we can avoid even slightest suffering, we try to avoid it. If we can escape, we try to escape it, even if slightest. We are fearful of even being born as an animal, coming in animal realms, even within the human realms where there's so much suffering, and hungry ghost realm. But on both sides of us, they are not afraid and fearful of being born in the place or realms where there's the most intense suffering that we can think. And not only that, delight in order to be benefit. So that being the case, it is indeed amazing, praiseworthy. It is such bodhisattvas and such compassion, bodhicitta mind that drives such bodhisattvas to be such fearless, not only fearless, but being happy and joyful to come in the most suffering state or suffering realms and most difficult, challenging strength. The person itself is incredibly amazing. Such individuals is such person or such sentient, such a being is indeed amazing. Amazing. It's totally beyond our ordinary way of thinking. It's totally beyond our ordinary conceptions, our ordinary attitude. Our attitude is, how can we be a place, environment where there is no problem, no suffering, But here the Bodhisattva is totally kind of so therefore, even you try to praise, is word praiseworthy, there's not enough word to praise such beings, there's not enough words to express, and not only the being, but especially the Bodhichitta mind itself, the compassion itself, because it is that Bodhichitta mind, compassion mind, that make that person who they are in that way. And so that both the person and the mind, the Bodhichitta compassion is indeed amazing, praiseworthy it is. This is an excellent way of supplying, There's no supreme or, excellent way of the Dharma path, the sublime Dharma path, That's the supreme Dharma practice. That's the supreme, Dharma attitude, Yeah, there is nothing such more supreme than that, such attitude in the mind. And that they give away their own flesh. Such bodhisattvas are not afraid to give their own body of flesh if it is needed and for the benefit of other sentient beings. They are not afraid, fearful. For us, even trying to give small things, we're afraid and fearful of giving even small things. I'm afraid to give my iPad, I'm fearful of giving my iPad pen, forget about my life, my body, This is such a small things, But the bodhisattvas, they are not afraid to give even, because that is what your life, your body is something we cherish all the time. We try to protect it all the time. We try to protect it, we fight with others in order to protect it, This is something that we try to cherish and hold so dear. And therefore, we are fearful and afraid of losing that. But the bodhisattvas, due to their incredible compassion, Bodhichitta mind, they are not fearful or afraid, even if it need to be. If it is needed, if it is really going to benefit other sentient, when they see it is really benefit, they are not afraid to do that. And of course, there are many, many stories, in Buddha's own life, time when he was a bodhisattva. There are like 500 stories of the bodhisattvas. Buddha himself recollected of when he was on the path as a bodhisattva. Collection of those 500 Jataka stories. And those are, again, Buddha himself is collecting those stories, And in one of that, there is, of course, there are many of them giving their different things, one of them giving many, not just one, many of them. And one of them is giving, probably many of you have heard about the stories, giving his body or his life to a tigress. There is a place in Nepal, Nama Buddha. Supposedly that was the place. Okay. Supposedly that was the place. And there is one stupa, and supposedly when he was cremated, and then with his relic, then they built that stupa. I don't know whether this is the original stupa, but that is stupa, and so that is it's called Nama Buddha. It's supposed to be in that area. That is stupa too. And the story is that the bodhisattvas, the Buddha in one of his earlier life as a bodhisattva, he was born in a royal family, as a prince, and then while they are traveling, they stop by that forest, going through that forest at that time, and then while the king, queen, and rest of the entourage were resting, two of the prince, 2 or 3, the prince wandered off in the forest, went in there. And then, they saw a tiger mom with 5 cubs. And the mom was very weak. She hasn't been able to find a food, and kind of they can see, so she was so weak. It seems like either she is going to die. If she dies, probably the cubs are going to die because they are too small to find for them, and also either the cub or either the tigers might eat one of the cubs itself. Anyway, so the bodhisattva at that time felt incredible compassion, to see the suffering of that, the mother and the cubs, incredible suffering, driven by the incredible compassion, So then, as they were witnessing that, and as they came back, his compassion and his bodhicitta mind couldn't kind of let go of, just walking away from that, just walking away. He couldn't, his compassion and couldn't. And so he told his brother, go ahead, I will come. I will follow you. You go ahead. And of course, the brother didn't have any thoughts in his mind, And he went, and then the bodhisattva went back where the tigers is, and then he took his clothes. He tried to, give his flesh, and the tigers was too weak to even kind of, try to bite or eat. And so then he broke the branches, and then he started to cut himself. And then, and then when the blood was coming, the tiger started to lick the blood, and then over time, ate the body, ate it. And then after they waited for a while, he didn't show up. So, then they went and saw, and when they went, and then they found just the bones, and so the bones were cremated, and through that, that is where the stupa is supposed to build. So anyway, so that is one of the stories. Of course, there's more detail to that story, but just that is one of the stories as a bodhisattva, and there are many stories of that. So that is where here it says, that they gave away their own flesh, their own body, without any fear, worry, and because of that incredible compassion, Bodhisattva. And wealth is not surprising at all. So if someone can give their own life body, wealth, all others think nothing, small compared to that. If we, even though we might be attached to so many different things in our life, but I think when it comes to our life, that is what we don't want. That is what we cherish or we grasp very strongly. So, giving up wealth, stories about giving the whole country itself, giving everything, not only the few objects, in some cases, when it was a king of country, even giving that, without any hesitations, so that is, and again, that is the power. That is the power of the Bodhichitta mind, the power of the compassion Bodhichitta mind. Someone, for us, when we have so much fear and afraid to give so many things, but when someone has such an incredible level of, incredible, strong, powerful level of compassion, Bodhichitta, they have no fear and afraid to give. Instead, they are able to give happily, joyfully, without any hesitations. So, okay, so I think that is all for today. Yeah. So I can take a couple of questions if there's questions or any comments. Anyone has a also those who are on the online, if you have any questions, please.
Hi, this is Karen Peterson. First, thank you. That was a really wonderful talk, especially the section on compassion was very helpful in a lot of ways, especially with regard to something I'll be doing next spring. But it got me, the last part of what you're talking about, the bodhisattvas and their behavior, got me thinking about my years as a combat photojournalist and the kind of band of brothers we were, and the courage and giving and compassion that we all showed in truly the hell realms of the planet. And what I don't understand is none of us, we did it out of a great sense of duty and compassion all the time without thinking a lot of things. And we went to these places for those reasons. We wanted those assignments, but we were never joyous or happy. That's the part I don't get. Where did that come from? Is that in a sutra, that information that the bodhisattvas are supposed to be joyous and happy when they're going to the hell realms?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we were in the hell realms, we certainly it was something bigger than us, than our lives, really. We had to do these things. We had to bear witness. We had to sometimes help people cross the lines of impartiality without question. But it wasn't, And then when people were helped, there was a joyous quality to it, certainly. Or when we came back with the pictures that maybe had an effect on people, a good effect. But overall, the motivation and the feeling and the intention was never joy or happiness. It was something that had to be done. So it's a bit confusing to me. I don't know where that quality is coming from that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, there could be, there is there is a difference between true compassions or the Bodhichitta that one has actualized through practice and developed training. There is another level of compassions, not through training, but when you see the pain, suffering there, you just arise, as I mentioned many times. Not only human being, even animals sometimes can feel that compassion. So the Bodhisattva compassion more than that. Bodhisattva compassion is not just like when you see the intense suffering or you hear it, or you think about it. Sometimes we feel that. Sometimes we feel that, a lot of people feel that way when they are in a state where when they see there's so much pain and suffering. But it is different than someone when they train, the Bodhisattvas train in the compassion, they train the mind to willing to take on sufferings. And because they have trained that, the willingness to take on suffering joyfully and happily, then they have they develop incredible level of confidence and courageous. And due to that courageous confidence, and then, they have incredible kind of joy, not joy in seeing the suffering, but it's joy in going to help, to release, to reduce the suffering, or to protect from suffering, or to help them to improve their well-being and happiness. So that the act of the thoughts or the compassion of to be able wanting to do that and to be able to do that gives them joy. It's not that there's joy, they actually experience joy in seeing the suffering itself.
I mean, the thing with combat photojournalists is they're not sitting at home abstractly feeling these things. When they're motivated to get the assignments to go and help, and that gives them joy for sure. But in the realms they're going into, there's nothing joyful about that at all. So is that group a group of bodhisattvas unintentionally? I'm just curious.
I would say they are courageous, compassion, kind. I don't know whether they are bodhisattva because can't read their mind. As I said, we have to. That is starting is very important. There are many different levels of compassion, and Bodhichitta is another level. And so we have to see is the compassion not all same level. There are many different levels of compassions. And Bodhisattvas, even beyond the great compassions. Great compassion is that when you have the same compassion for everyone.
Yeah, good point.
It's not just a victim, but also you have equal level compassion for perpetrators. And to have a great compassion, that is where, of course, we start with compassion of few, and then we try to expand to more and more, and you reach a point where you have compassion for everyone, even the perpetrators. And even when you have great compassion, still you are not bodhisattva. Still, you need to develop bodhichitta. So I don't know whether everyone has those mind or not. I cannot say because it is their mind. I cannot read.
What would a bodhisattva have done? There was a town in Spain called Ubeda, and we were in a car, and it was actually sort of a traffic jam in the middle of town. It's a little medieval town, charming. And we're in a car, and on the side of the road, this was years ago, and I've never forgotten it, was a dog in absolute agony whose neck had been almost severed, and it was still alive and suffering unbelievably. And the cars just inched past this poor, poor being, and nobody did anything. And the suffering, I've never witnessed such greater suffering in my life in a non-human being. What would a bodhisattva have done in that situation?
I don't know. Different bodhisattvas might take different approach. It's not same.
But would have moving the car around in the traffic circle and actually running over it have been a merciful act the second time? Or, you know what I mean? Instead of just leaving the poor
No,
animal.
I can't. When we're talking about bodhisattvas, we are talking about every bodhisattva can make a different decisions. In terms of their attitude, compassion is same, but in terms of their decisions, using their wisdom, what is the best? It's the bodhisattvas individually can make different choices or different decisions. What is best? How to help? What is the best way to help? How to help? So, even though they have same level of compassion, bodhichitta, but when it comes to the making the decisions, they have different wisdom, they have different level of skillful means, they have different level of, so it could, you cannot say all the bodhisattvas will do the same thing, Yes.
Mark, when I have been in hellish realms and have given gifts, which just rose. I didn't decide, but it's always, for me, it's been a slow process. It took time to be aware of the suffering. It took time. And, sometimes weeks with one person. And giving them a true gift. Giving them a true gift where they can heal and grow and build, something joyful and solid inside. Make them laugh. Truly relieve some of their desperate suffering. They felt wonderful about that. And I felt, by me connecting with them, I felt wonderful about that. But it was slow. It was a slow thing. It wasn't like I would walk into somewhere and go, okay, I'm going to fix this, and fix this. Or for me, it wasn't around, how do I say it? It's like, you could go into some place where they desperately need money and give them money, but I don't think that would be the bodhicitta that he's talking about. Well, maybe for some people it is, but it was just a really slow process.
Geshe, I just have one question. This is Nancy. Do bodhisattvas have clairvoyance and that level of wisdom, or is that something that comes higher, even at a higher level?
Yeah, not all the bodhisattvas has that ability. Again, some bodhisattvas has that ability, some not. To have that, you need to have develop shamatha or samadhi, meditative concentration. On the basis of meditative concentration, then you can again develop that ability. And again, some bodhisattvas have and some not. So they are again on that level. They are not in the same level, you know. But of course, when you reach Arya, certain higher level, then of course you have that, you know. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think one of the things is, yeah, as Mark said, is when someone is giving out of compassion, someone who is homeless, food, money, whatever, that person might be, of course, there's no doubt the compassion, but it could be bodhisattva, might be not bodhisattvas. It's just a moment of compassion. They feel that, and that person's. And if that person started to attack you, you might not feel compassion. And for bodhisattva, that wouldn't be the case, you know. That wouldn't, their response, whether they're respectful, acknowledging, and grateful for your help, or whether they become aggressive and mean and kind, the bodhisattvas will not lose the compassion. Their compassion will be same. That wouldn't change their compassion. But when we have compassion which is not that level, then, you know, I feel the pain and suffering, and I help. But then instead of that person started to abuse me verbally or physically, then I might feel angry instead of compassion after some time. And that showed that my compassion is not the level of the Bodhisattva's compassions. If it's the level of Bodhisattva's compassion, that wouldn't be the case.
So that's why, in the case of the dog that was suffering, it depends. If the bodhisattva had the wisdom or the clairvoyance that it was time to put the dog out of suffering, they would do that. Another bodhisattva might just try to sit with the dog and do mantras while it died or suffered. So that's the difference, I guess.
Yeah, there could be two bodhisattvas in terms of their compassion, bodhicitta. There's no differences. But in terms of their actions, what's the best, they might have a different approach to that. You know, they can have a different approach. Okay, to the dedications.
Gewadi nu duda lama sangye du yone do chiyam mahalu Sala Gopasho Joncho Sancho Rinpoche Make Pana Kegyuchi Ewanam Pame Payang Gong Ne Gondu Pelwashu Gangri Rawe Korwe Jinkang Dear Pendon De Wang Malu Zhengwei Chen Raising Wat Tenzing Gyatso Jape Si Te Baju Tengyo Chi Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice. You are the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable, venerable Guru, to you I make request.
Yes.
While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerged, and for other living beings who suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels, and the great waves of Bodhichitta of the children of the victorious ones, May the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you. Thank you.